Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Suzanne Lynn, and joining me today, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with the pen name of Rama Ramani. Rama, it's good to see you. Let's talk about your real name right off the bat, which I can't even begin to say.
Yeah, sure. It's Rama Subramanian, and it
Mhm.
used to be the full name till 1999, till I came to the US. And
Uh-huh.
ever since then, it's always been when I start telling people that name, they say, "What's your last name?" And then I say, "You know what? Let's just make it Rama Ramani, and just it's easy for people to just pronounce."
I think there's people all around America going, thank you so much, Rama. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. You wrote a book called The Next Innings, and I want to share just a little bit about your past. You work as a technologist working in cloud and AI technologies, which is a whole nother world that's cool. We could do another show on. You're principal at Microsoft. Love the fact that you're helping your children with homeschooling. Because of whole COVID, you've got a 10-year-old and four-year twins, one boy and one girl,
Yep.
and a crazy dog named Storm. So I'm sure that your days are woo,
Yeah.
a little crazy.
Yep, they are. And there are two ways to look at it, right? You can say it's crazy, I can't do anything more, or you can say, bring it on. I'm anyway swamped. What's the big
That
deal, right? Yeah.
that's right. You say that, and you're going to have another baby down the road coming when you say bring it
No,
on.
no.
God tests us to the very limits. So, well, let's talk about The Next Innings. What's the book about? Let's start there.
So I think the key thing, right, when you take lives of people and when you take different people and you want to bring them together, there's always a fascination what happens when they intersect, right? So it
Mhm.
starts off with that particular thing as the actual germ of the book, right? So essentially, I start off by saying a life coach who lives in Chennai. He is 78 years old. And then there's a young couple, Jagan and Lakshmi, who are moving to the US. And then at some point, their lives intersect. And what happens when it intersects starts the fascination. But
Mm.
at the core of it, right, if you forget the names or Indian names and things like it,
Right.
yeah, it's going to be hard for you to pronounce names, but that's not the point,
Right.
right? It gets to ask you just one single question in the very end. What would you do in challenging times? And the essential ending of the book essentially is a T junction, right? Where you are at a T, and all of us are at a T junction of life, right? You want to do this or you want to do that.
Right.
So, and it's applicable to everybody. And what I've tried to say is at every point in our life, we got to just believe that we all have a next innings, no matter what our challenges are, right?
Hmm.
And you have to believe that it's going to be good. And I'm going to be approaching it with a lot of optimism and build self-belief, right? And that's the essential part of next innings. What it also does is in cricket, just like in baseball, there's a concept of an innings. So it does have a cricket theme that sort of flows through the book, and you will see it come in and out. And that's what it makes it interesting to me and hopefully for all of you.
So, okay, now you've got my mind going. So, for example, you go to a restaurant for breakfast before work one day and you have a waitress or a server. What if you had a different server? How would that change your entire course of life? The conversation that you have, just things like that. Now, it's really fascinating to think about that.
Yeah. See, you could be a Jack Nicholson in Few Good Things, or I forget the name of the movie, where he goes, then he wants the same exact waitress. And if he doesn't come in, he's going to get angry. Or you could say that, hey, this is my opportunity to meet a new person. I'm going to understand who this person is, right? And at the core, everybody is the same, right? And whether you look at technology or people, you buy a computer and the computer works. This computer crashes, you buy a new machine. This
Right.
machine could look beautiful like a Mac, or it could be really a dumbed down of a different machine. So now people are the same as well. But if you give them a chance and you really get to know who they are at the real guts of the person, and you get to know better, and it's going to make you better. And that's the most important thing for all of us as we go through this journey called life.
This is a super positive book, right? That's the message behind it is just enjoy who you're encountering and it was just meant to be.
So the thing is, what you think and then what you write reinforces what you think. And the moment you start writing it a little bit more negative about challenges, oh my God, my life is like this, it's not going to help you at all. I think you got to go quite the contrary. When challenges come at you, you got to almost write, how am I going to overcome it, right? And what am I going to try to do? It's almost like a placebo effect in some aspects, right? But it's all about just believing and then just pushing through and then seeing what it does, because that's the excitement part of it, right? And science has already shown us that when you are actually happy and when you smile, you put more effort, and then that's actually healthy for you rather than essentially crying. So it's a choice. I'm not saying that you go through a difficult situation, I don't want somebody to think that you should laugh. That's not what I'm saying.
Right,
But when
right.
you're at a critical path, you have a choice. And then let's try to choose the optimism path. And this is not my theory. I didn't invent it. Take Coach Pete Carroll, right? It's all about competition, about belief. Look at Russell Wilson, right? He throws an interception in the Super Bowl. And then everybody crashes down and he says, I'm going to come back, right?
Yeah.
So that's the mindset which helps us to overcome a few things in life and just give yourself a chance, is what the book is sort of trying to say.
Very interesting. I
Yeah.
was just talking to somebody earlier and they said 100% of the stuff we learn comes from hitting rock bottom and making mistakes and coming through it. So it's just about, from what you're saying, it's about attitude and just saying it's okay. This is part of life. I'm going to be positive about this.
Yep. I mean, it's like just like a see, when you go to the South Indian thali, right, you get all of these dishes, right? Obviously, eating the sweet is really nice all the time,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make it fun. The moment you take something which is sour, which is bitter, which is spicy, and then you go to the sweet is so much more better. So all these challenges, we have to go through the challenges so that when you get those sweet moments, they really make that much more memorable sense when you look back at it in time.
Rami, who poured into you this information? Who poured this wisdom into you in your life? Was it a parent?
I think everybody has it, right? So I'm not like suddenly I just woke up and I got enlightened. I'm not the Buddha or whatever, right? The way as you give yourself a chance of going through each experience and just thinking through a little bit more, and I go through moments. I'll do all this today with you. 6 months or 3 months goes by, and I'm going to ask myself, "Oh, what am I going to do?" Then I have my friend who come in, and they're going to tell me, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Right? So they're going to coach me up, right? So essentially what it does is your experiences of watching somebody else, empathizing in their situation and put yourself in their shoes, and then when you pick somebody else up today, your turn, when you are down, they will do that for you, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think I was just thinking about this today in the morning as well, right? There is this quote that's saying the tide that lift all ships,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So in order to be the tide, you got to first give yourself a chance to be a ship so that somebody else will lift you.
Wow.
And the other thing you need to think through is the tide doesn't have to be huge. I can tell all my friends, right? They all think that, hey, I didn't do much for you. I just said blah. But they don't realize at that point in time what that meant for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you are in the crux of a writer and you believe that I have no actual training in writing, I'm not a fiction author. Nobody's going to read my book. What will I do? And somebody comes back and says, man, you at least had the guts to go first step. You should continue. He or she thinks that I just said the statement, but they don't know how it affects, because the next day I get up with that vigor, it gets better, right? And then it's just an amplifying effect from there on. So which means a small tide can still lift a small boat. And then when you give yourself to be a small boat, you get a chance to be a bigger boat. And it doesn't matter whether you get a big boat or not, but it helps you. You got what you wanted out of it, is the way I look at it.
I can't think of a better year for a book like this to come out. A lot of people are really hurting. I think if you're struggling, really think about buying this book because it's so encouraging. There's such a great message to it, isn't there?
So this is the part I didn't plan for COVID, right? I'm not Nostradamus, just so that
Right.
I let you know. And
All right, so we've made it clear you're not Buddha, you're not Nostradamus. Okay.
exactly, right. The name may say Ramus, but it's not Nostradamus, right? So
Right.
the point is, I started through this journey in August of last year. I took my son to the Cricket World Cup. My sister-in-law, Sharmali, told me, write a book about cricket because you wrote a book about football. So I started on this journey, but I cannot just do sport and life and do a mimic of my previous book, right? So I had to add fiction to it. It excited me. Then my school principal, Mrs. YGP, passed away. She was such a dynamic lady, and the way she did built the school as a great world brand in an era when women had more challenges than what you can imagine that's happening today was just amazing. She would come in a very noisy room. She could just stand there and everybody would just go quiet in the room, right? Amazing dynamic presence. And I saw all the tributes just falling from everywhere. It was awesome. And then I go through this journey of somebody who has no idea about writing, who is just thundering through this process, and then COVID happens, right? It affected me just like everybody else. And then I thought, okay, man, what am I going to do? I have to take care of children. And then I said, okay, when there is no guarantee of tomorrow, when the expectations doesn't matter, when COVID is going to affect all of us the same, I said, what is the memory that I want to leave behind if at all I don't exist tomorrow? And that thing of just giving it all up and giving it all in is what essentially led to saying, I'm going to pick it back up. And I'll tell you, the most of the essential thing, just like in the sprint, right? About 8 months was just meandering around and wandering and trying to figure out with self-doubt. But then once I hit my stride, I just took 4.5 weeks off from Microsoft. I told my wife, every day is going to be a work day. Get up at 4 o'clock and just be at it like 12, and then spend time with kids. And that helped me get over COVID, right? And now this is the beauty of it. I look at COVID as an opportunity now, right? Because if COVID was not there, if it didn't affect me this hard, if there was no reason for me to build something to overcome COVID, I might not have done it, right? So essentially, we just have to at some point say, I don't care, right? And Steve Jobs said this, right, in his speech. He said that when you think every day is your last day on Earth, and then you ask what is the most important thing to do, things will fall in place. I have listened to that speech hundreds of times. It didn't click. So what I'm trying to say is there will be a point in time as you continue through your search when all those cliche quotes will sort of come together, right? And all that we can do is just be on your path. There is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Don't get fixated on the big thing, what's going to be the outcome, what people will think. Just focus on the task on hand, do the best you can, and then just let it out there and let's see what happens.
I can't think there's anything we can top that. Wonderful, Rama. Thank you so much. Called The Next Innings. Check it out. It's available on bookstores and Amazon and all kind of great places. Any other location where they can find out more about you?
So there's actually my own Shopify website where the book is actually on a cheaper price at $2.99. But if people want to pay Amazon a little bit more, no problem. I'm sure that one of my mutual friends also owns Amazon stock. I'm okay with it, but it's up to you.
Rama, it was just a joy to talk to you. Good luck with your book, The Next Innings. Thank you for being such a positive force in the world.
Thank you.